Today. We are honored that you would take your time today to spend it with us. We pray that you get out of this session everything you had hoped for and more. Family, today you're about to hear from a leader who understands that great leadership begins with understanding people. Aaron Helton is a leadership consultant, a speaker dedicated to helping leaders unlock their full potential. With advanced education in workplace psychology and industrial organizational psychology, Aaron combines research, experience, and practical wisdom to help organizations build stronger cultures and more effective leaders. His expertise in emotional intelligence, communication, and inclusive leadership equips people to lead with confidence, connection, and purpose. Please help me welcome Aaron Helton.
Excellent. All right. So I believe I have sharing capabilities. I'm going to go ahead and share. Let me know. Are you able to see this? Okay, thumbs up. All right, let me test left, right. Let me make sure things can work. Where's my mouse? Click, right, left. All right, perfect. All right, so let's see. Let me get my phone out so I can check timing. Lex, are you going to stay in here to let us know
Yes.
timing? Okay,
Yep.
then let me know probably about 30 minutes from here. It is about 55, so I'll keep that in mind because I'm going to keep my phone there so I can keep track. All right. So today we're going to talk about the human element. So I've been introduced. My education is in industrial organizational psychology. Industrial is logistics and surveys. And funny enough, that was going to be my dream. That was going to be where I wanted to end up. I was going to work in HR generalist for about 15 years and then jump into consulting. Well, life had different plans for me, and I went ahead and met with my boss, Steve Anderson. He took a chance on me. I took a chance on him straight out of college. I'm 29 years old, a business owner, just bought my house, and I'm growing this business because I learned about the human element. I've found myself into a touchy-feely job, and I've found a way to marry both sides, the industrial, which is that statistical side, because I still consider myself a statistician, and the organizational, the culture side, and people, psychology, the individual side. So today we're going to focus on the individual, even though my work focuses on the organizational and more large scale. All change on a large scale happens individually. So we focus on the conversations, the way that we interact with one another. That's how culture and organizations actually get created, is by the people one by one. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you want? When we think about AI, we usually use it to find answers. But what do you want? No screen in front of you. I'm also going to minimize me so I stop looking to the side. Boom. And I can't see anybody. I'm nervous now. So, what do you want? If I sit here for 5 seconds and just say, what do you want? Are you uncomfortable? Are you wanting to put something in the chat? Yes. AI cannot do that. AI cannot make you uncomfortable. I can. I want you uncomfortable on the other side of coaching. Because in the middle of the discomfort is where we find out who we really are. We live in a comfortable world. We live in a comfortable world. And our brains are designed to keep us comfortable. Our brains are designed to keep us alive. As we as human beings have evolved, our fight or flight has changed as well. And I'll talk about that in two different slides, or 2 slides from now. But first, I want to talk about the comfort versus discomfort. There's 2 ways you can live. As far as I'm concerned, there's 2 ways you can live. That is on the left, which is when you live with fear. You have a problem. You are scared of it. You're fearful. I want to stay in my comfort zone, so I react to it. What does that mean? We'll talk about that in a moment. The other way to live is to lead with passion. If you have ever had a goal that you've had to push past fear, maybe, when you grew into parenthood, when you jumped jobs, tried something new, started your own business, there was fear there, but you pushed past it because of passion. You were not living in fear, you were leading with passion. When you lead with passion, you start from a vision. You pull from that passion and you take action in accordance with that vision. Remember a couple questions ago during our networking, it was what legacy do you want to leave? That's a vision. Who do you want to be known as when you eventually pass? Hopefully 150 years from now, right? Because of medical advances, right? But you could also reframe that as what do I want said at my eulogy? What do I want people to say about me when I'm gone and I can't talk about myself? How do I get into rooms I'm not in with a vision, with passion, by not being a person living in fear, but rather being a leader from passion? I mentioned fight or flight. So I'm going to take you down this. This is cognitive behavioral psychology. This is how I apply coaching day in and day out because my focus is on the B and the C, shifting those belief systems. But we're not looking there yet. First, we're looking at A to D behavior. Now, A, as it says on the left, is an activating event. And we skip all the way to D on the right, dependent behavior. That's your outer world. So using an example, let's say, hey, you're sitting here watching me on Zoom, having a nice time, mellowing out to my voice because people will fall asleep to it, and suddenly something falls from the sky and you have a spider or a snake on your shoulder. Something just freaks you out. What are you going to do? The spider or the snake is your A, your activating event. Your D is whatever you do. I'm going to jump, I'm going to freeze, I'm going to run away screaming, or hopefully it falls a little more and I'm going to kick it or brush it away. Fight or flight or freeze, or in some cases, fawn. Now, that's all fine and dandy for a legitimate threat, a snake or a spider or something that falls on you. I'm threatened. So now we look backwards, D, dependent behavior. I kick the snake or I freeze when the spider's nearby. Okay, why? Because my C, my consequent emotion in the A, B, C, D, C, I'm scared. I am fearful. Good. Why are you fearful? Because of my B, my belief system. Snakes and spiders, all of them are dangerous and can kill me in a heartbeat. Okay, that's a legitimate fear. You're acting in a legitimate way, in a functional way based on a functional belief. I am threatened. My fight or flight is activating. I need to get away. Now, let's say that you have knowledge of snakes or you have a pet spider. If you're one of those people, I would not be, but I don't judge. I judge a little bit, but not that much. Or the snake is across the room. So your belief system no longer is I'm in imminent danger. I have to do something now. You're not reacting. Now it's this creature right now is not a threat, but something's going on. So your belief system changes to right now I'm not in danger, but I need to investigate. So your emotion changes from fear, which is panic, into I'm curious. Maybe I'm excited. Oh my God, you broke out of your cage to come hang out with me during my Zoom call. Oh, you little cutie, right? Or, passion, curiosity, or why did this snake end up in my house? I probably have a hole in the wall somewhere. I need to investigate. But you're not in imminent danger. Now let's take that same concept and let's say it's 2 p.m. It's a really frustrating, heavy, stressful workday, and your spouse or your boss sends you a text or an email, just some correspondence, and it says, we need to talk. You feel that? That's your fight or flight. It's like, oh no, what are we going to talk about? I'm in trouble, right? Now, that's similar. That's the fight or flight again, right? But your brain's saying that this is a snake that's on my shoulder. No, it's not. But we've evolved to think that it is. So you say, oh no, they need to talk. Well, it's Thursday and I'm feeling sick, so I'm going to go home. And tomorrow my kid's going to be sick. Oh, how do you know your kid's going to be sick? Because I'm a really good mom. Right. And so then it's the weekend, so I guess we're just gonna have to wait till Monday, right? That's how people dysfunctionally deal with these emotions. That's living with fear. It's I'm gonna react in an almost childish way, which when you ignore your belief system and you ignore your consequent emotions, you do what's called reactivity. A to D behavior, according to the theory of adult development, it's a teenager's mindset. And 75% of adults, according to the theory of adult development, are still emotionally teenagers. So, one final example A, B, C, D. I'm a 16-year-old and you don't let me go to this party. So, ABCD, I'm feeling disrespected. My belief system is my parents have disrespected me and I'm feeling angry. So I stomp, 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 go upstairs, slam the door, and blare music. Why? Because my only thought is I want you to feel the disrespect that I'm feeling. So I disrespect your home. That's reactivity. It's, I yell at you. Why? Because you yelled at me. Well, why did you yell? Because you yelled, and it's cyclical. But when you can dig into the belief system, that's when you can find, okay, what's happening here? Now, let's go ahead and link that to AI. AI is useful. AI can give you knowledge. AI can give you structure. It's really good at organizing information. And all these things are perfectly fine. If you're trying to figure out, well, what am I feeling? What am I scared of? What's going on? AI can shotgun a lot of different information and say, hey, here's what's probably happening. That's great, but it will not cause breakthroughs. Because if you remember from the last the first slide I had with the question, what do you want? And we sat there for a second, right? AI cannot replicate pressure. AI is not going to make you uncomfortable. AI might give you that same example of the snake or the spider, but it was not as animated as I was. It doesn't make you laugh, right? It doesn't make you think. It gives you information and you fill in the gaps. So, and I hate to say it this way, but it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you are a person that has not developed the emotional intelligence to say, what's my belief system here? AI is not going to tell you what your belief system is. It can't. It can't tell you who you are. The only person that knows who you are is you. So AI cannot replicate presence, cannot replicate being personal. So I just mentioned the ABCD. That's cognitive behavioral psychology. That's a form of coaching. AI might be able to use GROW, which is GROW. That's a coaching method, which you can do on your own also. It's goal, which is what's my goal, R, which is what's the reality, O, which is options. So what are my choices here, my options? And then W, will. What am I willing to try? What's my willpower here? What can I push? So you can put that in, you can plug it in, but AI isn't going to keep you accountable. It's not going to be personal. If I look at you and I say, hey, you want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, why? AI can say, that's great. Here's your diet plan and all this and all that. AI is not going to know leverage. It's not going to pressure you. If you say, I want to lose 20 pounds because I want to be able to keep up with my kids without panting, I don't want to be a person that's overweight when my kid, I don't want to be old grandpa, or whatever the leverage is. So, okay, you want to keep up with your kids, then let's talk through this. Let's keep having feedback. Let's keep staying accountable. AI will not do that. It cannot replicate it. It can say, hey, did you keep these goals? Did you stick with your goal here? Yes, no. That's fine. It's ticking a box. And some people need that. But if you had a really bad week at work, that affects your diet, that affects your mood, that affects your weight, that affects your goals. So sometimes I actually had a session with a client and she said, Aaron, I don't know if I can do coaching today. It's the anniversary of my son's death. And I said, then we're not doing coaching. Tell me about him. Tell me all about his life. Tell me about the person he was. And you know what happened at the end of that? We talked about, so how can you honor him? What do you want to do about it? And that's coaching. That's transformation. That's moving forward in a positive direction. Because that's where coaching differs from therapy. It's not about let's unpack all this. It's yes, this is here. How do we move forward? And there's, legal caveats and all that I'm not going to get into. But the focus is that AI cannot replicate that. AI cannot pivot in the moment in a personal way. AI cannot look you in the eye and say, you told me that you wanted this. Do you want this? What do you want? as I stare right in the camera, I'm staring into your soul. What do you want? You said you wanted this. Do it. And that's it. I'll sit here in silence and you'll go, ooh, I guess I better do it because I don't want to feel that again. Aaron makes me feel bad sometimes when I don't do the things I said I was going to do. Yeah, you made a promise to yourself and I'm going to hold you to it because I believe in you as my client. And if you have imposter syndrome, you talk down to yourself, I'll catch you. I'll say, hey, don't talk to my client like that. Don't say that you're dumb and you can't do this because I believe you can do this. AI will not be able to replicate that. And honestly, I worry that, not worry, but I believe that AI will never be able to. Even with all the mimicry, there's something in even just comparing Zoom with in person. When I can sit here and put my hand on your shoulder and say, you can do this, but you have to push. Can you do that? Just trust me for another day, you know? I'm just sitting for a second. So AI cannot replicate those, period. There's a story actually. One more thing AI cannot do that I love to do is I love stories. So I want to make you think for a second. Excuse me. Have you seen the movie Soul? If not, you got to see it. It's fantastic. So basically, there's this jazz teacher who wants to end up on a band. Whole story ensues. He ends up on the band, and he's like, it didn't feel like what I thought it would feel like. So the singer of the band, she's like an older individual. She kind of mentors him through a story. And this is the story. There's an old fish who's swimming about in the ocean. And this young fish comes up all frantic saying, hey, hey, I need some help. And the old fish goes, okay, what's up? The young fish says, I'm looking for water. It's like, okay. The old fish says, well, that's what you're swimming in. It's water. It's all around you. The young fish says, no, this is not water. This is the ocean. I'm looking for water. And that's the story. Doesn't make sense. Kind of lets you sit there for a second. You're like, huh? But it's about perspective because it talks about the lessons that the older fish is trying to impart on the younger fish, talks about perspective, talks about, big picture thinking, small picture thinking, blindness of perspective. But you don't get to those answers unless it's explained to you or you think about it. AI will not tell you a story that makes you think. It will say, here's the story, and here's why it's important that I told you this story. You don't want to wait on the answer. Sometimes you want to sit there and say, oh, that hit me. Some of you are probably very religious individuals. Jesus spoke through parables all the time. There are so many parables said in church. That's the whole point is for you to sit and say, oh, how does this apply to me? Instead of being gifted or forced upon you the answer of here's how you should think about it. Discomfort is the human element. Discomfort is the gift. Now, a large part of my speech here, my presentation is about coaching. So I do want to shift gears slightly and talk just a bit. Hmm. We talk, and I'm not going to go through all this, don't worry. But one thing that we use as a tool, the 360, that's creativity versus reactivity. Now, reactivity is the A to D behavior that we talked about. Creativity is leading with passion. So AI could be applied in concepts like this. This is LCP, it's the Leadership Circle Profile. It's a 360 assessment. I'm not going into details about it. My focus on this is how does AI use something like this? It can tell you the answers. Hey, let's look at that middle square or middle circle in the middle. Oh my God, middle circle in the middle, right? Middle left, where it says relating. Can you see my mouse? No. Okay. Excuse me. But look at where it says relating there. If we see relating and your score is lower, AI may say, hey, your score in relating is low. Let's raise it by, and it might say those 5 pieces that relating the small pie wedge goes into. Let's raise your collaboration score. Let's raise your caring connection. Okay, how? And they'll tell you steps. Talk to more people, do this, do that. What happens when you get stuck? I can't talk to people. Okay, well, we'll raise your caring connection by not talking to people. What? Something that, and obviously I oversimplify it, right? Oversimplify it. AI can find creative ways, but when it comes to those creative moments of how do we navigate this together, sometimes the best thing to do is just flounder. And I'll say, yeah, you're not going to be able to raise your care and connection score and your relating to people score unless you start relating to people. How do you want to do that? Question number one, what do you want? What does relating to somebody mean to you? And then how can we leverage that? Well, I just don't want to die alone. Ooh, okay. Let's talk about that. Whereas AI may take something at surface level, say, well, I don't want to die alone. Okay, let's see how we can surround you with people. It's like, well, what's so bad about having a life where you end up alone? Is that a bad thing? Yes, of course. Why? Why? And we get to the root of it, the belief. If I die alone, that means I'm unlovable. Nobody stayed around long enough to love me. Oh, that's what we need to work on in coaching. AI is not going to get us there because it's not going to push in that uncomfortable space. That's the biggest issue I have personally with AI is it's agreeable. It's too agreeable. Unless you have the foresight to say, hey, I want you to reduce your agreeableness by 65% for the next, 8 prompts, it doesn't really do that. It doesn't find that nuance to say, I need to push you right now. I do. So in the interest of time, I think we're on the tail end. So I've got a couple more slides to tell you a little bit about how to kind of find your starting point. And maybe AI will help you past these points, but I want to get to the root of things. So, excuse me, it's hot up here, so the air is getting drier. Excuse me. So I want to ask you a couple questions here. And you can take a picture of this. I encourage you to take a picture of this and sit with it. Mission, vision, and values. If you know in your core who you are, which is mission, how do I show up every single day? I'll tell you about mine next slide. Vision, what legacy am I trying to create? You kind of touched on it in our networking just a bit ago. Who do you want to be? And again, question one, what do you want? And you have to sit in silence. You have to dig through all the surface level stuff. Well, I want $1 million. No, you don't. You want what $1 million creates for you. What would you do with $1 million? I would sail the seas and I would have, 100 friends that come over all the time and I'd have the most expensive drinks and the most expensive beer and I'd never work a day in my life. Okay. Why? Well, because I want to travel and I want to eat good food and I want to have people around me that care. Okay, do you think money's going to get you there? I mean, it'd be pretty, it's an A, B, C plan. Yeah. What can we do right now that lets you travel? And what do you consider travel? Now, these are all the things to think about that AI is not going to put in front of you. You have to dig through all the BS. And in my opinion, my personal and professional opinion, AI adds more surface level because it can only meet you at where you're giving it. Because you don't want to say, well, I'm scared of being alone and I'm worried that I'm unlovable. So here's all the it's not a therapist. You can't have an AI therapist. Again, because the human connection. So I'm not going to go through these questions with you. I'm going to open it up to questions here in 2 slides. But I want you to take a picture of these. This is your last chance. If you'd like, let me know. I can get you these in the chat or in a in a slide later on. I'll email it to you or something. But sit with these questions. Think about what does this say about the person I want to be? A lot of you may have started businesses, and that shows part of why. What did you want when you were little? Are you accomplishing it with your business? What do you love about the things that you're chasing in your life right now? What are you passionate about? And what are you envious about? Because that shows you a direction of, I want that. I want that. Why? What's important about it? Let's talk about it, right? So the end, I'll give you an example of my mission, vision, values. So I'm not going to pull the whole thing up, but if you ever want to connect with me, which you can at the very end of this, my mission in life, why I show up every single day, is I want to give everybody the opportunity to feel seen, heard, and empowered. That's it. And I used to say to make everybody feel seen. And I realized there were different ways to help people feel connection. It wasn't just seen, it's also heard, it's also empowered. How can I empower you today? Hopefully, through my presentation today, you feel seen, you feel heard, and hopefully I've empowered you, right? And I used to be a people pleaser that was a welcome mat. People would walk all over me. So I changed it. Instead of making you feel sane, now it's give you the opportunity. If you don't want to meet me halfway, that's okay. You don't have to. And some people don't deserve to feel empowered in certain aspects, frankly. So it's I'll give you the chance, but maybe don't use it for evil, right? And so when you find your mission, vision, values, you become very, very clear on the person you want to be. Because now that I know my leverage of why do I want people to feel seen, heard, and empowered? Because deep down, well, I spend most of my life autistic, and well, I mean, I'm still autistic, that's diagnosed, but I was also homeschooled. So I had a lot of social deficits that I had to push through. And at the end of my days, I want to know that nobody else felt alone. That was my goal. I don't want anybody else to feel alone. And so I want you to feel seen, heard, and empowered. That helps me to feel less alone. So can I gift you that? And you can say no, it's a gift. You're allowed to return it. That's okay. But because I know who I want to be, I can constantly give myself the litmus test of, is this going to help somebody feel seen, heard, and empowered? And sometimes that includes myself. So I'm going to end today with an example of a client and how AI could not do this. Excuse me. She came to me. It was a 33-ish young doctor, and she had a lack of confidence in her abilities. She was unsure of where she was most helpful. So anything people gave her, she just said yes to. She's like, I have to prove my worth. I have to prove my worth. She had so much imposter syndrome. And our very first session, I sat there and I said, she told me she's an older sibling. She's the first of her family to become a doctor, to even go to college. So she went above and beyond the above and beyond. And I said, I want you to notice something. You're a 33-year-old female black doctor. And that's all I said. I sat there for like 20 seconds. I said, just acknowledge that. And she started crying because she said, nobody's just laid it all out like that. I said, yeah, just by existing, you are creating so much. You are a role model for so many people just by existing. What more value do you need to create? What more do you have to prove? That was our breakthrough. That was 40 minutes after meeting her. We worked together, and in 6 months, she got a promotion. She had significantly healthier boundaries. She said no a lot, and we talked about fear. She said, Aaron, I don't want to jump in and be a leader because I'm scared of being the obnoxious black nosy black woman. And I said, whew, okay. 6 months later, she came to me with a story. She said, Aaron, two of the nurses were fighting. I pulled them into a room and I said, figure this shit out. I said, okay. Did you feel like a nosy black woman that was getting in everybody's business? She goes, no, I felt like I was in charge and like I was dealing with some children. And I said, okay, you were being a leader. And she said, yeah. Oh my God. And that was the moment she realized for herself that she made progress. AI could not have gotten that there, even if all of it was laid out, because she felt seen, she felt heard, she felt empowered. And she proved to herself that she could do it because I kept telling her, you can do it. AI can encourage you, but it cannot be present with you. Say, you told me you wanted this. Show me how badly you want it. Prove it to me and prove it to yourself. So, a couple minutes left. That's it for my presentation. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is a link that goes straight to my booking link. If you're interested, come talk to me. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. What I can do is spend time with you and help you to feel seen, heard, and empowered. If you spend time with me, that's my mission. You feel seen, heard, and empowered. I can't guarantee it because I'm still part of an organization, so I don't want to get in legal trouble, but I can guarantee it, and that's just as good. So go ahead and hop on my schedule. I hope to see there's 6 of us in here, so I hope to see 5 of you in here on my calendar in the next couple weeks. Otherwise, I appreciate you, and yeah, let me know your questions. how do I make this big again? Yeah, there we go. Any questions for me? Any thoughts? We'll keep it up for a little longer. Well, I assume. There you go.
I just
Any
want to say
questions?
thank you for sharing all of that. That was really, really interesting. It was a great way to look at some things that I'm going through and working on myself as helping others become better versions of themselves throughout my transformation experience course, if you will, that I'm working on. So, yeah, thank you.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I'm going to stop my share, but if you'd like to send a message in the chat and I can connect with you as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Going once. I bet. I think we're getting a little bit of
Actually, I
static.
don't have too much questions. I'm not
Yeah.
really being in the meeting because of something I'm doing. But since you have dropped your contact information, I can chat to you if I ask any question related to AI. Hope you do you get me, sir?
Okay, as long as you
Do
got
you get
something.
me, sir?
Yeah, I appreciate you. You may have to type that in the chat. You're getting some interference, so I apologize. You might have to type it in the chat. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys coming by. And also, go ahead and connect with me and we can go hop on the call. But yeah, I'm having trouble hearing you, Obey. So if you want to type it in chat, I can answer that if I'm able to.
All right, all right, all right. Probably I don't have the question to ask now. So if later I ask and the meeting is done, so since you have provided your contact information, I can text. I'll write it down so I can text it right. Oh, do you accept that?
Sure. Yeah, connect with me and we'll chat. All right.
All right, all
Appreciate
right,
you guys.
all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.